What is up, everybody, and welcome to the long-awaited pilot episode of the Stuff Podcast. My name is CJ Pierce. I am joined today by my co-host, JC Shirley.
What's up, CJ?
Not much. How's yourself?
Living the dream one COVID day at a time.
For sure. All right, so I'm going to pass this off to JC real quick, and he's going to tell you a little bit about this podcast and about us, and then we will get introduced to our guest.
All right, thank you, CJ. So CJ and I sort of came up with this idea with the direction of our guest, who you guys are going to meet in just a few seconds. But really the main goal of this is to connect people to what is going on here at school. We are using the studio at Northwest State Community College out in the heart of the heartland here in beautiful Northwest Ohio.
You owe me a quarter.
A quarter? You're not introduced yet. Be quiet.
The people know me.
They know you. They already know who he is.
Yeah. No, we're just trying to connect students to the school, to stuff that's going on, not necessarily here on campus because of the whole corona situation, but just stuff that's going on, maybe some school news, but really just trying to stay connected and reinforce the a sense of community.
For sure. I know we have a lot of really cool stuff going on in Northwest Ohio all the time. And I know right now we are kind of paused because of the nature of the world right now. But definitely, yeah. So we're going to try and communicate what's going on here on campus at Northwest State Community College, as well as some local events and things that are going on in the area.
Yeah. All right. I think that we need to talk about ourselves. We need to introduce ourselves a little better. CJ and I are both students here at Northwest State. CJ is you're a graduate, right?
I am a Northwest State Community College Visual Communications Graphic Design alumni.
Congratulations.
And I am hanging around taking some classes trying to complete my bachelor's degree. And yeah, getting to be a part of this podcast and some of the events and programs that are going on here at Northwest State.
That is fantastic. I just finished up my first year this spring semester and am shooting for an Associates of Arts, maybe in the VCGD program. So CJ, now that we have introduced ourselves and the podcast thoroughly, we've beaten this horse to death. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, for sure. We are super excited to get to have the self-proclaimed coolest thing in Northwest Ohio join us on the podcast today. He's really been a pivotal aspect of this transition into remote learning and all of the just emergency questions we had to get answered during this Corona time. I'd like to introduce the
Corona time. I like it.
The lead faculty for the Visual Communications Graphic Design program at Northwest State Community College, Mr. Michael Vanderpool.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome for allowing you in this space.
Exactly.
We didn't really have a choice.
That's what I meant to say. Mike, thank you.
Are we done? That's great. Good job, guys.
No, we're not done. No, thank you. Just from me personally, thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this podcast, but also for
it's so funny on radio or podcast, whatever this is. I can just do stuff like that, and you'll
just
mess with you.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it.
No, but no, thank you for really stepping up when students and faculty needed you during this whole coronavirus. No one knew what was going on, and then I got a Zoom invitation from Vanderpool one day, and I didn't know what Zoom was until I downloaded the app and saw his face and then threw my phone against the wall. But
you're so funny, JC.
Oh, I am
so funny.
CJ.
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was.
It really was.
So,
did you have questions, or am I just here to be thanked? Because
we do have questions for you. We do have questions.
No,
my whole point today is to make this extremely difficult on you, to prepare you for anything, just like my classes.
Awesome.
If you can put up with me in an interview, you'll be able to put up with anything.
Yeah. Besides being the lead faculty in the VCGD department here at Northwest State, Mike has done a lot of cool stuff as a freelance movie maker, visual designer, all those great things. And we would love to talk to him about that, but due to the current state of, I guess, global affairs, we're gonna just stick to school stuff today. And Mike, if this podcast gets off the ground, we'll have you back later to talk about your.
I should be your guest every week.
Just every week.
That would be
We welcome our special guest, Michael Vanderpool, for the third time.
third time. At that point, you're not special, and you just invited yourself.
He just became a co-host.
Yeah, if everybody's mom tells them they're special, then if everybody's special, then no one's special, and it's really sad.
It is sad.
Yeah, it is super sad.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have Mike back at some point in the future to talk about his I guess his career away from Northwest State. But today we're gonna stick with NSCC stuff. So with that, how did you first get connected to Northwest State?
I was in the master's program at Bowling Green, and somehow, some way, I ended up at a networking event. And I sat down at a table across from Mike Wolf, who was the dean of the business department here at the time. He said something to the effect of, "Hey, if you have a resume, I'm probably one of the only people here who can hire anybody." And I had my resume, and I was like, "Okay, let's go."
Did you have your resume like in person with you?
Yeah, because it was a networking event specifically designed.
Okay,
for that.
cool.
Sorry, I'm terrible at setups. I usually have to go in and backfill, but that's fine. They can rewind the radio if they need to.
You can't rewind radio. That's a good thing. This
It's
is
a podcast. It's not radio. Yeah, there you go. You can rewind a podcast. And that is the only difference between a podcast and radio, other than the FCC. Started doing some adjunct work here. I can't remember Carrington. Like that first year, I think I did photography as my first class, and that might have been...
You did photography. I was in that class. It was absolutely amazing. And I say that facetiously. I think everybody was just
horrible,
trying to get used to that transition of taking college seriously. I think for me, I mean, I was 16 years old in your class.
Oh yeah.
So it was.
Were
it
you
was
in
a
the
transition.
class with? Yeah. Oh wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. I mean, 5-6 years ago.
My word.
So yeah, I was an adjunct for a while, and then eventually was hired full time, and here I am.
Well, fascinating. We've talked a little bit about, I guess, leading up to this, what you actually do here, but how would you describe your job at NSCC? I know you probably have somewhere a written job description, but it's probably not accurate.
Well, I mean, excuse me.
Certainly.
You're not boring me. It's just I was up at 4 this morning.
Screaming kids?
No, just got to get stuff done, man. Somebody's got to make the donuts and milk the eggs. So what'd you ask me? I'm sure it was riveting.
How would you describe your
what do
job
I do here? Yeah. So I am the lead faculty of the Visual Communication Graphic Design program. So that means teaching, approximately 5 classes every semester in that space. I'm also the director of Project Allura, which is a design and talent incubation type entity. And I'm also kind of esports coach as I build the esports program or start the esports program here. And then I think I'm something else too. I'm a podcaster.
Yes, you are.
I podcast with Mr. Michael Klink and Dr. Alan Barris. We are trailblazers on this campus. That we are the reason that you're actually sitting in these chairs and talking to these microphones today. Well, that and IT, but
thank you, IT.
Thank you, IT.
Always thank IT. Everyone likes to complain about IT, but we have all kinds of amazing things because of IT.
This is true.
Very much so.
I used to complain about IT, and then I sat down in the room where we're at now, the podcast room, and I got to play with the soundboard, and it was fantastic. And I will never complain about IT again.
Give that soundboard a tickle. That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Sounds like we are in a huge room with an audience that is captivated by us and waiting to cheer us on.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what I do.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
All right, CJ, it's your turn.
All right. We are going to actually transition into a time of questions about really what happened about 3 months ago now after spring break when the world just shut down because of the coronavirus 19 pandemic that just hit the world by storm. Yeah. So first question about this is, where were you when you heard that the school and world was shut down?
At home.
Cool. I know. It,
really compelling content there, Mike.
Wasn't necessarily as, and I think it's different, right? Because, and not to be morbid, but we'll be morbid. Like, 9/11.
Yeah, for sure.
9/11 was something that happened like in an instant. So where I know I could picture exactly where I was right when that happened. With this COVID stuff, like it was different every day about what was going to happen, what was going on.
It wasn't like there was just this one big seminal moment where the world just shut down. I guess the closest thing that I could get to it, I love sports and I love the NBA. I was reading some ESPN stuff and I saw that Rudy Gobert had contracted COVID, and before he got his positive test, he had sneezed on all his teammates. And when I read that, I just was kind of blown away. And then I realized that the NBA was shutting down and that nothing was going to be the same for quite a long time.
It did happen rather quickly, but it wasn't instantaneously, right? It was like watching something happen in slow motion almost. Like, okay, we're going to go to kind of sort of halfway on campus, and then all of a sudden, a couple other days later, a couple news press conferences from the governor, and all of a sudden nobody's allowed back on campus except for essential personnel.
For sure. I'm going to touch on this real quick. My personal experience with this, it was spring break.
I thought this was about me.
It is about you, but I feel like this is important too.
Okay.
We were on spring break, so we were all off of campus. We were all doing our own thing, out doing stuff, and the whole Rudy Gobert thing happened, and I was like, okay, this could be more serious than I thought, but not too serious. So we rented this cabin, and we knew that the world was kind of on edge a little bit. And while that Sunday we were about to leave, we found out that we were getting an extra week of spring break. And then that Monday, right when we were about to we extended it one day, we were about to leave that Monday, and we realized that everything had shut down. And driving back the 3 hours back up here was crazy because everything was shut down. Everything was empty. And I know we're younger. I don't necessarily, I remember slightly 9/11, but not too much. I was like 3.
I was 1.5.
Yeah. So this is kind of our equivalent, almost not even remotely as dramatic and right away, but kind of our equivalent of like something huge that affects the entire world taking place.
Yeah, it probably will impact how you guys kind of perceive the future and how you choose the decisions you make in the future, right? So when, Carrington, like when I heard about lockdown though, that I remember I was at home and it was in the evening. I think it was a Wednesday evening or Thursday evening, but pretty sure it was a Wednesday evening. And I looked at Jackie and said, I have to go to school right now. I have to go set up my lab. I have to get this stuff ready to rock and roll and do remote delivery. She talked me off the ledge of going in at 8:00 at night.
I would have just gone
Thursday morning, man. I was here and my lab was set up ready to freaking run a Zoom farm.
Yeah, for sure.
How did you choose Zoom? It's become the watchword of 2020 so far because everyone's used it. My 70-year-old grandparents, my 88-year-old grandpa, who's not very tech savvy, has figured out how to do Zoom. How did you choose Zoom over like Cisco WebEx and some other stuff? So
I don't specifically remember, but I've used Zoom in the past. As an instructional coach for a software development boot camp that was run online, we were doing remote instruction, and Zoom was a way that was a tool that we used. And whether it didn't jump to my forefront that we'd used it before, but maybe it was in the back of my head, and just from a quick search and playing around with some stuff and just being aware, Zoom had the breakout rooms, and Zoom was fairly simple to use. And that was really Zoom, I think, is also just timing, right? There's been so many different, from Skype to WebEx to
Microsoft Teams,
everything that's out there, right? I think it was just right place, right time, and had the right features, which is why we landed on Zoom. And yeah, there's been privacy issues, but you know what? That's welcome to the world of all of our information being in ones and zeros in the air above us at all times.
Yeah. I personally have had good experiences with Zoom. It's been, it was kind of hard to adjust back to online classes. I was in an online high school, so it wasn't that hard of an adjustment, but it was just kind of weird. I woke up like the first Monday after spring break and felt like I was back in high school again, and I didn't love that feeling, but it was was okay. I guess we all kind of gutted through it.
It was an interesting transition, I think, for everybody, because I'd worked in the Success Center, the tutoring / student resources center here at Northwest State, and that transition
Which, by the way, I'm sorry, I just remembered something. They are still open.
They are still open.
So
summer classes.
Yeah, summer classes are going on.
And I heard good things about you, Mr. Shirley, being able to help and teach people, helping your fellow coworkers down in the Success Center be able to use Zoom and stuff like that. I think that's...
I cannot take credit for that. That was CJ.
Oh,
that was me. That was me.
Yeah.
Nice job.
The best part about this podcast is that...
Congratulations to you, JC, for knowing somebody who's smart.
Thank you. I feel quite privileged to know CJ.
How'd you know about Zoom?
I didn't.
I just figured it out.
I was working in the Success Center. Sherry Ricks, the director of the Success Center, approaches me virtually at that point because, the world was shut down. Gives me a phone call and goes, CJ, we have an emergency. We've got students that need tutoring. We've got students that need help with tests, help with, these different subjects. We need a way to be able to communicate with them, and we need to know how to use this. And so for a week, I think I turned 80 hours in on my timesheet that week.
Nice.
And I literally learned almost everything I could about Zoom, and then taught every day for like 2 weeks, all of the tutors, all of the faculty tutors, all of the tutors, Zoom, and how to use it and navigate it. And
it's going to be the Carrington J. Pierce Center for Learner Excellence. Someday.
I'd be okay with that. With that.
You know what? He's been here a whole lot longer than I have, and I think he's between the two of us, he's got more pull for that. So
potentially, I just have to come up with money. That'd be the big thing.
Yes. Dude, we're college students. We have no money.
I'm not getting anything named after me. But anyways, so we do have more questions for you.
I thought we were done. Sorry.
Yes.
No.
We do have a few more questions for you. That first week back after the extended spring break, after we had gone through the panic of how are we going to do this, what were your first reactions, your first experiences with that coming back?
Yeah, you get through your first week of Corona College, I guess. We're going to call it Corona College. And you get to the end and you close your computer on Friday night, and that first thought that you have right there, like you close your computer, you exhale, and you think, what?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, that whole first half of that second half was just kind of a blur of making stuff happen, right? Yeah. I mean, that first week, we really just were getting people comfortable with the technology. So I had scheduled Zoom sessions with everybody, communicated with everybody over Slack on how things were going to roll going forward, and just was reaching out to the learner population, the people in my program, and just kind of level setting where we were at. People made sure people had what they needed. Just tested Zoom that first week to made sure everybody's connections were cool. Everybody knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So that first week, I spent a lot of time helping others, like doing some Zoom training. Carrington, as you were helping the tutoring staff, I was helping some of our faculty with that type of stuff. But yeah, nothing. And I can't remember, did they shut down the K-12s at that point?
Yes, they had.
Really?
They had.
It was either that week or the week after.
I believe their spring break was our first week back, and then after spring break they canceled.
Yes, that's right.
So, I was pretty lucky because with my wife already being a stay-at-home, all that stuff at home was kind of settled for us, and I was able to put in a lot of hours. So again, my brain I don't remember a lot, which is why I thought it was important for us to do a retrospective last week regarding, some of the stuff that happened.
Yeah. I guess with that, what was the best, and on two sides to every coin, best and worst parts about working from home? It was something that everyone had to do all of a sudden, and it was just like you were thrown totally off your game.
I didn't work from home
at all.
I tried for a week.
How'd that go?
Awful.
Was it that bad?
I have a small house. I have a small house. I don't have an office. I have a lot of things going on with Project Allura and esports and even developing curriculum, being all that other stuff. Without having space to spread out was difficult. Also, my son is 4 and doesn't know when dad's home to play or dad's home to do work. And it was just ridiculously stressful. I had the space here. I was helping people Zoom. So I was declared essential personnel as part of IT to help support that. So like I've been on campus at least 3-4 days a week throughout this whole thing.
Yeah. Cool.
I had a class with Vanderpool as part of the VCGD program in spring of 2020. I took a 103 intro to visual communications, and I met little Michael on several Zoom calls.
He was this close to having his bits all over Zoom. He came running from downstairs in his birthday suit, jumps, is flying through the air, and I'm slammed down the
was this in was this in 103? And we're probably gonna have to censor that.
Why?
No, it's good. That's good.
It's good.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I think you'll be fine.
We should be good.
We should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, this was during a conference call with my peers.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. I think the best thing though about being here is just being here. I like this place. I like school. That's why I never left.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about the same.
Carrington's never gonna leave either.
No, he's not.
I was thinking about that today, and I've been a student here since I was 16, and that's been forever.
And props to you for taking college classes at 16, because I know good and well that I was not ready to take college classes when I was 16.
You weren't ready to take a class.
I wasn't ready to take college classes when I was 16. I just did. I do suggest if anybody out there's listening is considering taking college credit plus classes while they're in high school, definitely do it. It's a good experience. But
keep your grades up.
Yeah. And I've
and
been
you
here
should take visual communication.
VCGD all the way.
VCT 103, Intro to Visual Communication.
100%.
All the way.
I fixed JC.
Yeah.
I want my podcast. I'll say what I have to say.
So anyways, this has been the longest that I've been off campus since I was 16. Since I was a sophomore in high school, this is the longest that I've been off campus. And coming back today, it was like I got part of my life back. It was so weird.
Yeah, for sure.
It was so weird.
Because you're here with crew.
I'm
You're
here for everything.
For work. You're here for
everything. Yeah.
And I just like the custodians, so I just hang out here.
I think too, if you look at where we're at regionally, Northwest Ohio, there's lots of cool stuff going on.
Heart of the heartland.
But 50 cents. But there's not real great places for you young people to collaborate and do stuff, in all honesty.
No, not really.
So this place, becomes as kind of the hub for that. Thank you. See, JC just gave me $1. So
that means I get to say it 2 more times.
2 more times. But yeah, so like this place, I see it, when we shut down, it really, I think that was one of the hardest things is like we'd started to build a community with the game club stuff. And we tried to do some esports and game club remotely, but some of you guys with awful internet connections just can't participate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
And it's just this college. I mean, we can do some cool stuff here. We bad movie night, game night.
Can you touch on that for a minute? Because like I'm part of that Slack channel, and Slack is it's probably the biggest way you communicate with people in your program.
100%.
Get in his Slack server if you can. That's how you know what's going on campus.
It was a lifesaver. Like the fact that we had established I've been working on that for a couple of years, establishing that as a way we communicate in the program. And honestly, that was by far the easiest way to keep track of people and stay connected to people during all of this.
For sure. I know I communicated with you a lot via Slack.
Yeah.
Slack.
Can we podcast today? Hey, Mike. How are you? Can we podcast today?
Yes, but yeah, for sure. There's a lot of different communication, a few communication paths you can take here at the college. I know you follow the college on social media, Northwest State Community College on all of the social medias, as well as NSCC Design on Instagram and Facebook and the internet, and then as well as our Slack channels and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's communication out there for what's going on campus and how to get connected with this new post-corona college.
Exactly.
For sure.
And you touched on it, but this community, we are a community college, and there are a lot of people, like myself, like CJ, who we were homeschooled. So you know what? Good for us.
Yeah, but you're so socially awkward.
That's why we're doing podcasts and not TV.
Yeah. We're not as bad as we used to be.
But
No,
I
we're
think
better.
that was one of the things I noticed, right, just right away, because my experience with in higher ed, I went to a community college, went to a relatively small 4-year for my bachelor's, went to BG for my master's, and as I think about it, like what you guys miss coming to a 2-year. Like I think education stuff, the quality of instruction at a 2-year and a 4-year, I don't think there's really much difference.
100%. 100%.
Totally agree.
You're going to get probably better attention from your faculty at a 2-year than a 4-year. But the one thing that you miss is that extra stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like the dorm room stuff, like living on campus and the student body activities that are there.
Yeah, like at BG, there's a 48-hour film challenge. There's all kinds of different clubs and groups that you get into, and there's enough of a population there where those things kind of can run and perpetuate. Here, people sometimes still view a community college as a commuter school.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that we can do, right, is we have you here. We don't want you to go home, right? I'd rather you stay here, make friends, study together, work together, play together. So, with
Pizza Posse. That's a really, really cool thing that goes on.
That's Brad Gear.
yeah,
Brad
Brad
Gear
Gear.
putting that on, introducing some of our learners to.
And what is Mr. Gear's Brad's job title here?
I don't know. I don't know anybody's title. I have to ask. It's bad. I have to ask the vice president all the time what
He
their titles
plugs in graduates from this school into jobs in the
are.
community.
100%.
Yes, for sure.
So
but,
if you want a job, talk to Brad Gear.
yeah,
Jinx.
for sure. Carrington, were you at the first bad movie night when we watched The Room?
I was at the first bad movie night.
That was so awkward.
It was,
Oh,
it
jeez.
It
was
was so
super
awkward.
awkward.
That was the first time I'd ever seen it too, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, will this sex scene ever end? It's just gotta end."
Oh,
I don't think you have to cut that. You're
No, that's
okay.
good. It's
We're
good.
grown.
We're grown-ups.
We're
We're
grown-ups.
grown-ups.
You're 18.
I
You see, when a man loves a woman, it'll be okay.
Mike, he was homeschooled. He doesn't know yet.
Really? But that was something that we did, and I think you saw from that one event, like there was a sense of community, and that helped
For sure.
for you guys to feel like part of a group, and just the game room on campus, all that type of stuff. In my mind, and what we're doing in the Oasis space, all that stuff is just to give you guys a sense of social belonging, because
togetherness at school.
Well, when you have that, it's easier to get through the crummy parts of the school year.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that whole community thing. We a few years ago, Dr. Thompson stepped in as president of the college, and I remember that first month he was doing a meeting, invited all the students and all the faculty and everybody came together. And the first thing he says is, "We're trying to become the community's college." And since that point, I've been able to see over the last few years this increase in community, this increase in people doing life together, people being a part of things on campus, being a part of things in the community, which has been really cool getting to see that evolve into what it is now.
100%.
Awesome. All right. So last couple of questions here, just about the future.
Oh, I can't sing.
No,
so
you
we're gonna have
can't.
to cut that off. Darn it.
I don't know. I can
Have
probably.
you guys seen Coming to America?
I've seen parts of it.
I've
It is
seen, like,
hilarious.
Bits and pieces of it.
Okay.
Oh my word. The scene in the barbershop where old Eddie Murphy's talking. Yes, where old Eddie Murphy's talking about best boxer of all time and Joe Louis and all that.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
for sure.
Anyway,
So some questions about the future. All right, we are getting closer and closer every day to the start of the fall 2020 semester, the start of the
don't
new
remind me.
school year,
You have a lot of work to do before then, don't you?
No, yeah.
which is
You're basically holding this place together, so you have a lot of work
That's
to do.
not true.
he's holding the VCGD program together.
Yes, I'm holding.
He
the,
is
I'm
the
hol-
V-
I'm
he is
holding
the VCGD program.
southeast corner of the A building. I'm holding that
Holding
up
that
right
up.
now.
I just want to say,
The bottom floor, so I mean it's
Yes.
heavy.
Yeah, well, it clinks up a little bit too.
Some of it, so I mean,
It's a lot of dead weight to carry. Hi, Clink.
I clink.
hi, Clint.
Art matters.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So what do you feel fall semester is going to look like? What is the the word on the street of what it's going to look like right now.
I think I heard that some of the 4-years are going to send people home at Thanksgiving, and then they're going to finish up their last 2 or 3 weeks remote. You guys heard that?
I've heard that.
I have not, but I love that idea.
Well, it's just, but that's this, right? Like every time there's a big challenge, for lack of a better word, that's an opportunity to rethink and innovate, right? So yeah, why do we structure the school year like we do? Because we started that way 100 years ago.
Yeah, why do we do 16-week semesters? Why do we? Because I know the school that I'm a graduate of Northwest State, so I attend another school getting my bachelor's degree, and we are starting when some school is supposed to start, okay? And we're going to finish the whole semester the week of Thanksgiving, and that's going to be the whole thing. We're going to do 2 5s, and then like a mini J term within that semester. And so it's going to be 12-week semesters, and then a lot of 5-week classes. So I think everybody is kind of breaking the mold right now, which is cool to watch.
And I'm going to make the assumption that we're going to stay in our 15/16 week semesters, along with, that 8-week option is something that we're starting to, I think we have those for summer. We've got 8 and 12 week semesters for summer. I'm not sure where the 8-week stands in, the fall and spring yet. But I'm basically redesigning my classes to go every way possible. I know that there's going to be some people who don't want to come to campus.
James, if you're listening.
I know some people who live in the farthest corners of Williams County, Paulding County, that for them, the distance and or lack of transportation or combination of those things makes it difficult for them to come here. That should not mean that they can't receive an education.
100%.
For sure.
So all of my classes are going to be designed for full remote. There will be a synchronous requirement, though. I think that's a word you guys are going to have to
synchronous
and asynchronous, right? So instead of being face-to-face and online, 2 different things, what we're really talking about is the synchronous time that when we're together doing this versus the asynchronous time where you make a post on Facebook at 6 a.m. when you wake up, and I reply at 6 p.m. when I finally look at it.
Yeah.
So what I'm designing will be something that would allow somebody, technically on the other side of the world. We had somebody from Indonesia at our summit this past week.
Talk about that.
No, I'm going to finish what I'm saying first.
Okay, can we talk about it then?
Sure.
Okay.
But that will then give somebody the opportunity to attend class synchronously with the rest of us, because I feel that talking and getting feedback is, Carrington, that's
for sure.
And that is what my program is about. My program is about you being able to talk to other people and give and take criticism and explain why you do things. And that face-to-face component, the synchronous component is vital.
For sure.
Okay, talk about the summit for just a bit. I wanted to be there, but I was on vacation.
Well, we recorded everything. So pretty much a week after the whole response to COVID started, I think I was hearing, online doesn't have a great reputation. Online learning doesn't have a great reputation.
No.
For very good reasons.
Deserved.
Yes.
Right? Yes, there are great online courses. I'm going to argue there's probably more crappy ones than there are good ones.
And I don't think anyone would contest that.
Yeah. If you want to fight me over it, fine. My email address is jshirley@students.northweststate.edu. So, even though we were calling this remote, I was still hearing from you and your peers about how it was online. And I knew the rapid delivery of this was going to not be great. It wasn't going to be great. There was no way this was going to be great for anybody. And I was afraid, I'm still afraid a little bit, that it's going to leave a bad taste or a worse taste in people's mouths regarding what remote instruction can be. So this summit was a way for us to kind of get out ahead of that and talk about what went right, what went wrong during the academic response to COVID-19. So we talked to our peers, faculty, staff, leadership. We had a session where we talked to students, got their input on it, as a way to rethink, collect that information and make sure that the lessons that we learned during the response didn't get lost. and it was the hashtag Ohio Leads Virtual Summit 2020. So if you're looking for any information on it, just go to your favorite social media platform, type in Ohio Leads, hashtag Ohio Leads, all one word, and you will find my face rambling over video like I do.
I think part of the reason that online learning got such a bad rap, part of it was the asynchronous element, but also the lack of good communication by not only by students but also by teachers. And I think that's something that I personally have really appreciated about you and your program, and in large part the faculty and staff here at NSCC is their good communication.
For sure.
Yeah, designing online classes is hard, and we have to realize that it is a newer thing. It was only 25 years ago when a learning management system was even a thing, to where faculty, and this is how it worked. Yeah. Hey, here faculty, here's this thing, go do something with it. And
there was no training, there was nothing.
Not a lot. And most faculty haven't been trained in instructional design for online modalities. So I think what you have is you have a lot of people who are doing their best with making things work, but don't necessarily understand some of the learning science or the ability, what the technology can actually do for us. And what that led to was a lot of inconsistency with how classes were set up, how people were communicating through things. And I think if we look forward at what we're going to have to probably do to make this easier for you all learners, based on what I heard last week at the summit, is trying to weave some consistency into the general education core of the curriculum, so that when you're, especially early first year, first semester, first year students, like, it's not difficult for you to find what you need to be able to be successful.
For sure. Yeah. So we got last 2 questions here real quick. Really, what do you feel is the best thing that's going to come out of this time, of this lockdown, of this, not necessarily of the pandemic, but of the time that we were given because of it?
Like the last, 3 months of crisis, what is the 2 best things, for you both personally and professionally, the best things to come out of this?
One of the better things, I think, is just that kind of awareness of your own mortality.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you were to get sick and only had so much time, or you never know when things are going to happen, it's something that you think about all the time, but I think COVID made us all think about that at least a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And really just evaluating what it is that you want to accomplish in life. Even if you only have, if you got 1 year, if you got 50 years, whatever, right? Maybe harder for you young folks to contemplate that while you're out partying on the beach in Florida when the rest of the world's. I hate what they do to your generation. They make your generation
look stupid.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though my generation, have you ever noticed my generation is in their cell phones more than anybody?
Mm-hmm.
It's anyway.
You're on your phone more than I am, and I'm a almost 20-year-old college student.
Yeah, let me stop ranting there. And then, what was the other question? It was something riveting, I'm sure.
Yeah, so
professionally,
so I think, my whole philosophy regarding instruction is that the best of online and the best of face-to-face, we need to maximize those things, because that's going to provide the best experience to the most amount of people. So even though we may be like, oh, hey, COVID's over, let's everybody go back to normal. It's like, wait a second. There's stuff that we did here, and there's lessons that we learned that can help us reach those farthest corners of the 6 counties that we serve. We should be able to educate more people based on what we learned through this.
For sure. And that actually touched on our last question here. And I know we've all been like, when will life go back to normal? When will life go back to normal? Do you want life to go back to normal? Do you want this a new normal to take its place so we can move forward and keep innovating?
Well, there's always a new normal.
Yeah.
Right? Things change constantly.
Every 20 years, something happens.
Faster than that. I mean, because we're not talking about catastrophic events, right? Like we're talking about.
But, that's true. But for people like me, it takes something big to make me change. I'm not a big fan of change unless it's absolutely necessary, but I think for this, change has been necessary. So what's the change that's happened here at school, or just globally, I guess, that...
Well, I think that the most interesting thing with COVID-19 or any kind of issue, whatever, however we want to phrase it, is yes, it is a problem. And yes, there are things that have to be solved regarding COVID-19. But things like this, really what they do, they highlight more problems, or allow more problems to come to the surface that were sometimes taken for granted because of the face-to-face nature of things. Like our inability to communicate with students. I mean,
that became a glaring need.
And it was an issue before, but it wasn't as
pressing because you could still maybe see them in class.
The other
when you don't see them and you're counting on them to come to a Zoom meeting. The
other thing that COVID-19 brought out was how many people and businesses live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, those are bigger problems that I think for us to have a stable society, a stable economy, stable country, stable world, we're going to have to find some people who can problem solve around that stuff.
For sure. All right. Do you have any closing remarks? Anything you want to let the people know before we close out here?
Visual communication, graphic design is the best program at Northwest State Community College. Don't let the nurses tell you otherwise.
Aside from the nursing program, it probably is the most well-established program on campus.
Well, engineering and
that's
nursing.
True.
But then us.
Can we have Colin on? Colin Doolittle talk about that?
He would be a great guest for you guys.
He'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my word, that'd be so much fun.
But legitimately though, couple things. Shameless self-promotion. If you don't know what you're doing in life, the Intro to Visual Communication is a class designed to kind of give you skills to figure that out.
I would agree with that. My sister was also in his program, and she says hi, and she says that she's not coming back, but she loved the class. And she said it really helped her gain some direction and just really develop some independent thinking skills.
And tell her she's my favorite Shirley.
It's not like she doesn't know already.
And then the other thing is esports on Northwest State Community College. We actually have people practicing downstairs in the new esports lab today. Cool stuff's happening here at Northwest State Community College, and I'm just looking for more people to come hang out and make cool stuff happen.
Yeah, super cool.
We will have you back at some point, Mike, to talk about your movie. Your career as a graphic designer, and also what you do. I
don't have a career as a graphic designer.
Well, you did at one point.
No, I did not.
Didn't
you?
His career as a marketing tools creator and video creator and all other sorts of things. Jack of all trades.
Yeah, jerk of all trades, master of none.
That's about right. But we will have you back at some point to talk more about that. But yeah,
for sure. Where can the people connect with you on social media?
Oh. And thank you. That's a great question. NSCC Design. If you search for that, we have a Twitter. We have the Facebook. We have an Instagram. I think I started a TikTok too, but I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything with the TikTok.
It was good. It was good.
Did he make a TikTok?
He did make a TikTok. I think I'm one of your 3 followers on TikTok.
I got to see this.
It's great. I'll share it with you later.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, a picture of my daughter's, like some art she did or something or other. But
yeah.
Just staying up there. Staying up, knowing what's happening with the youths of America.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we just wanted to thank you guys for listening, and remember to tune in next week for the 2nd episode of the Stuff Podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Stuff Show. We are also streaming our podcast to Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. Guys, remember, listen next week, and peace out.